right? I am now a woman in her 40s, and much of what I thought that my mindset would be at this time is completely opposite. Because experience will teach you something completely different. I think I was probably a very judgmental person.
And welcome back to Bloom, Build, and Birth, the podcast for women to explore all of the things that matter to us at different stages and ages and phases of life. Today we have Miss Arlene Blake. She is a dear friend and a sister whom I adore. I've loved her since the beginning. My very first time hearing her laugh many years ago, I knew she was a sister, and she was definitely of my same tribe. I admire the way that she brings women together and the way that she is able to make connections between community members, organizations, personalities even, and just somehow manages to blend us all together in a way that is magical. And I'm just honored to have her on the show and would love to introduce you to her now.
Thank you so much, Nikki. I appreciate you. You know, I love you. But I'm excited to be here today.
Yeah, thank you. So today we're going to just talk, everything that I do for this show, for all of my work in general, is really around womanhood and the phases of life that I believe we all go through, right? Mm-hmm. So when I think about phase one, I think a lot about metacognition, that blooming phase that a woman goes through, how you're thinking about thinking, any internal shifts that you might be making at that stage of your life. Mm-hmm. I'd love to hear from you, your thoughts on that phase. Like, are there any things that you thought during your initial sort of blooming phase that have totally changed now? Or how have you sort of bloomed in your own experience as a woman?
I would say I'm definitely not the same person that I was even 10 years ago, right? Mm-hmm. I am now a woman in her 40s, and much of what I thought that my mindset would be at this time is completely opposite. Because experience will teach you something completely different. I think I was probably a very judgmental person earlier on. And, I was very laser focused as to what was going to be next. And I kind of had it all mapped out. I think having lost my parents earlier on in my 20s changed my perspective on so much. How I was received, how I was receiving others, extending grace, especially as you're navigating difficult situations. Going in the ups and downs of relationships. There's just a whole different level of grace and experience that I'm able to give and to share with others. And so I would think that particular phase for me was like a lot of really nasty gardening.
Yeah. And I love that you share that because, what I practice in Her Hive, it's not linear. Right? Like, we're all going to go through these phases over and over and over again. Like, at some point, I don't care if you are the matriarch of your family, you will come back to that bloom phase where you are resting, where you are slowing down, right? At some point in your life, you're going to go through all these phases over and over and over again. And I'd like to know from you sort of, do you see an area where you think women could maybe change or tweak? Because you mentioned you had to make some changes after you lost your parents. Are there areas or ways that you think women could rethink how you reinvent yourself as a woman and what it means to reinvent yourself at any stage of womanhood?
I think being willing to just be like water and flow is really essential, because I think oftentimes we want to be so structured in getting to that next level. And as you mentioned earlier, things are just not linear. Life happens so fast, and it's things that oftentimes we can't control. So how do you confront those situations that come about that you can't control, right? I had no idea that I would be in my 40s and still single. I had no idea that I would be a person that would have a child and be unwed. I had no idea that both of my parents would, pass away when I'm in my 20s, still needing them, right? Just so many different things. I saw myself as being an attorney when I originally was going off to college. I went to school for legal studies. I worked at a law firm. Like, I mean, that was the way that I was going. So many things just did not end up the way that I thought they would. You know, my college sweetheart, we were great together. I knew that was going to be my husband. I just knew it. I was immature at that time, right?
Right.
I think maybe I can't even tell you how many years later he was ready to be mature, and I was in love with someone else about to have a child with them, right? So
Yeah.
things just don't happen oftentimes in the way that we mapped it out. And so just being okay with flowing, right? Like we still have to make sure we're moving. So we still got to be like a river and we got to keep it going, but we have to be okay when it shifts a little bit.
Yeah, I love that. And I love the analogy. I do think that sort of that thought around water is important because sometimes those tides are going to get rough, right? Like you are going to go through some situations where
like, don't drown, don't drown.
Like you holding on to whatever is nearby, right? And I think that's actually a really good segue because it's like when you are going through that flow and you are not in control, which we often seek as women, we seek that control, which it doesn't exist for real. And you can feel like wanting to reach out. What is a good way how would you encourage women to reach out, to grab onto something or someone to try to like take back control or to figure out how to at least take a breath, right? Catch your breath. How do we do that in this world where everything is flowing so fast?
I think we have to let go of shame. And I have opened myself up to being able to admit when they stink, when they're just not going right, because oftentimes people will suffer in silence and suffer alone. And you know, community is key. Not everyone has community, but I had to know what my breaking point was.
Yeah.
And when I reached it, I knew to reach out for help. I did not know what help was going to look like, but I knew to reach out for help. And interesting enough, when I reached out for help, it was not someone that was part of my community. I went to a mental health therapist that was very taboo. I had never heard of anyone else in my circle or family who had ever done it, but I've heard of it before, right? And so I just Google search. And let me tell you, Google is a powerful tool that a lot of people just do not leverage and use. And I'm shocked by that sometimes. But I just went to Google and I was like, I need this type of help, right? I don't know what to do. Who do I reach out to? Psychology Today came up as an option. I went on there and I was like, oh, this is kind of neat because they showed all the therapist specialties. And so I clicked on the specialty that I was looking for and I started to go through all the lists. I called probably at least 6 or 7 different therapists. 2 of them contacted me back that day.
Really?
And I got into one of them that evening. I went that evening. And I think we have to reach out when we're at that breaking point, because I think sometimes people go a little too long.
I was going to say, do you think you could or should have reached out sooner than you did? Or do you feel like you reached out when you needed to? Or I know hindsight being 2020, do you think you could have sooner? Would you have done it sooner today than you did then, based on what you know now?
So Nikki, I hate the fact that I cannot remember the name of this person, but I was just watching an episode of Oprah's podcast, and her guest on there had just written a book about what does it look like to hear from God. And she was saying oftentimes people think of that conversation with God as like you just hear God speaking directly into you. And it's actually through signs. It comes through other people speaking to you, different signs and messages. And I think at that time, at my breaking point, there were so many different signs that were coming to me that this is what I needed to do. Like for the fact that I had never heard about, you know, therapy or never seen anyone actually go through it, but I'm starting to hear things about it was enough to know that this is what I needed to do. Right. And so we have to really pay close attention to when the universe is speaking to us and then act on that. And that's essentially what I did. So I think I had gotten to that point to where now God was speaking to me.
I think that speaks to also opening up the aperture, like opening up your community allows you to gain more resources and tap into concepts that maybe you weren't familiar with. Because like you, I think a lot of us as Black women in our 40s grew up and mental health was not a thing. You better go depress them dishes, go anxiety that room, right? Like you could not say that you have, even to this day, I love my mother, but if I say I'm feeling down, I'm feeling depressed, she'd be like, don't say that. Don't say that. You're not depressed. I'm like, no, I am. I'm like, it's a thing. It is. And she will not hear of it. Well, you are not depressed. Like, don't say that. But there, and I get it, right? We want to be careful about what we're claiming, what we're speaking over our lives. But there's also a very real challenge at sometimes, right? And some points of your life, you really do have those issues.
Let me also say this too, as you brought up a challenge. Oftentimes when he's speaking to us and he's trying to get us to do an action that we're not used to, it's going to feel very uncomfortable. Yeah. And it's going to cause you to want to fight against it. And most often, that is when you should actually follow it.
Yeah.
We're expecting for when things are from God that it's supposed to just flow really easy.
Like a little cloud is going to come down. And
I'm just going to jump on it and we're just going to flow. And that's not how it works, right? It's not going to feel comfortable. But that's when he's really trying to stretch us and to get us to that next level. And we have to listen to him. We have to follow him, even if it feels a little uncomfortable, right? A little different. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Are there any strategies, frameworks, right? Like we're systems kind of girls.
Yeah.
Because we have to be, right? To get stuff done, you got to have a system in place. What are some, whether it be makeshift or really rigid strategies or systems that you put in place to be able to even be that nimble, to be able to listen to God or to hear and be able to kind of move on ideas that you may have, right? I know we're multi-passionate women.
Yeah.
So how do you maintain structure while still being water, right? How do you maintain the vessel so that things don't go off the edge, but you still, at least in some ways, have that same quality of being fluid?
Absolutely. So it's consistently evolving, right? One of the things that I would say is know oneself. And the one thing about me is I know myself well enough to know what makes sense for me to do and what makes sense for someone else to do. Now, can I afford for someone else to always do it? Not really, right? But one of the things for me is I recognize when I am carrying too much, it was time to bring someone else in. So I have an amazing assistant, Caitlin, who I love to death. She brings a lot of relief to me. And so I recognize that, you know, if I'm hoping that someone can fill in and carry a weight, right?
Right.
I recognize, especially in the volunteer space and the nonprofit space, if that is a volunteer role, that person can easily at the last hour say, I can't carry that. And I have to be okay with that because it's a volunteer role. So I was like, let me say something here. I need to hire someone who always I can guarantee they're going to get it done. Right. Yeah. So I knew myself and my community well enough to know that I needed that person who was a 100% guarantee. And I brought them on. I also know myself enough to know that when it came to like working out, I could get in the gym and I can get down, but getting there is something else. Right. So when I had a little more disposable income, I hired a personal trainer.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm not going to someone's gym because I know myself well enough to know I don't plan ahead of time to get to where I need to get on time. So I said that person needs to come to me. I knew myself well enough to know that if we have everything pre-scheduled, if I were going to the gym on my own, by myself to work out, and let's say I said 4 p.m. every Wednesday I'm going to go, at 3:45 I'm finding a reason or a project that I'm working on that I just can't get up from the desk. I'm like, I'm just going to have to do it a little bit later. I do not commit to myself. But if I know I have a personal trainer who I said I was going to be there and they're going to be there waiting for me, I can't let them down. I hate letting someone down. So I know myself well enough to know if I have that level of accountability, I will be there. And so that's what success is going to end up looking like. So again, knowing yourself well enough to know what parameters need to be in place to make sure that you can do what you need to do, because motivation is not enough.
Yeah, that discipline is rooted in some things, right? Like
Sometimes
I
you don't
totally,
got it.
yeah, I totally get it. I think also, like I tell people, I wish it hadn't taken a cancer scare for me to lose weight or to really take my health seriously, right? It should not have taken me to get to 45 years old to finally decide that, oh, you know what, this actually is not good for me to continue on this way.
Yeah.
But I do think that we all react differently to different stimuli. Personally, I hear you say you know you're going to show up for someone else, not so much for yourself. For myself, I wish that I could, and I'm doing what I can to change that in my brain, right? I don't want to have external stimuli be what drives me. I don't want to have someone else's disappointment be what drives me. Like, what are some internal rudders that you feel like you want to maybe strengthen or to create that maybe aren't there right now that you feel like a woman in general might benefit from?
I think paying attention to the feeling of what that looks like. So let's say after you're consistent with showing up with that trainer, for instance, you start paying attention to how good you feel.
Yep.
And you want to keep that feeling going. So you're building this internal motivation through that. But to initially get started, sometimes you can't leave it to yourself.
Yes.
Right? So I think once you're able to create that habit, then you're able to continue on. And I remember doing that because I actually looked at pictures of myself even a year past, my ending that relationship with that trainer, and your girl was still looking good. So I'm keeping it up, right? And then maybe every now and again you need that checkup, that check-in. But I think
that accountability partner.
Build a habit and you start to like you can miss that feeling, right? Like, for example, I wanted Captain D's recently. And I know, girl, I grew up in Jacksonville and we love Captain D's. It's like
a fish. It's so good.
I loved Captain D's. And so I really wanted it. And I had to remember, I was like, Arlene, remember what it felt like the last time you ate it. Like your stomach didn't like it. And so now my mind, we're going back and forth. And I'm like, no, I don't want to feel like that, but I want to taste it, And so I'm able to make the decision then, like, no, that's not going to be the best choice for us today.
Right.
But I'm able to remember what that was like. And as soon as you can kind of build those kind of habits and why you can stay away from it or why you need to do that action, then it's easier to be disciplined about it.
And you know what that is, right? That's that bloom phase. That's that metacognition.
Yeah.
And so you didn't simply have a thought and go act on it, right? You had the thought, but then because you had already collected data from previous experiences and not feeling great, not having the best response to it, you were able to make a different decision. And that's why I tell women, do not let anybody tell you think too much or you overthink, right? That is something that so many of us hear as women. Oh, you think too much or you're overthinking that. Metacognition is a superpower. It is a gift. And it's the only thing really that helps you evolve through your phases. Is everything okay? Is audio happening?
No, I love everything you just said just now. And I'm going to say on that particular topic, I would wish that more women would stop seeking validation from others on how they feel. Yes. I think that is one of the biggest grow ups that we can have is when we lean into our own thoughts and what we're hearing in the world. Like, well, we don't have to share every single thing and allow someone to stomp on our ideas, our beliefs, because I will tell you, if I did that, if I allowed that, Women on the Rise would have never been created. And so for those who are...
Tell me more. Did someone tell you it was a bad idea?
Absolutely. On multiple occasions. And it was family members at that. So that's the craziest part, because you trust
your own
family,
your own people,
lean on them, but no,
your own people.
So for me, when I first started the organization, I was working full time and it was a lot to carry. And I remember my aunt.
You were a new mom too, right? You were a new mommy as well?
At this point, I was not yet. And so this is before I was pregnant. So this is like right at the start, before we even had our first event. And I'm telling my aunt, 'cause I'm really excited about putting this event together. And my aunt was like, sweetie, do you think you're going to have time to do that? You got this and you got that. You think you can do that? And it was such a negative thought. And I think she probably thought she was helping me.
Right.
But when a vision is placed upon someone, that is not for you to come and say what should be or should not, right?
Right.
You have to stop seeking that outside validation. If the vision came to you, then it is on you to make that happen. And that's essentially what I had to do. But I'm not going to sit here and say that that did not impact me in any way, because it did. But I decided to push through anyways. And that first event was beautiful. And she came and she was like, "Oh, sweetie, this is so nice." And then the second wave of that was a year later. I now have given birth to my son. And I remember we were coming on our first gala, which was like, let's say May of 2017. I had given birth in February of 2017. So he was all of 3 months, and I'm planning this big event. And my son's father was like, "You need to give this up. Like, you can't try to take care of a baby and doing this." And then my aunt chimed in and was in agreement with him. And I'm like, I have worked so hard on pulling this together, this organization and this event for the past year. There is no way that I can allow being a mother to keep me from doing the vision that has been given to me. Right. But I had two people very close to me telling me that. And they were also the two people I was very much depending on to help me with my son. So I could make this happen too. Right.
And that's the hard part, right? So you have these people who are, part of your close system, your family system, your support system, and their way of like supporting and loving you is not the support you need, right? So especially as a mother, what would you suggest that women do when you run into that? When you run into a partner who isn't supportive in one way or another, right? Family members or a mother or sisters who are not supportive. What do you do? What do you do when you have a dream that is necessarily or possibly running up against motherhood?
So this just happened to me like this week. So I have a great example. You have to remove the emotions from it, and you have to look at it as like a business situation or like something on the job, right? Where I have to say, okay, here is the situation, and just lay it out. How can I remove any obstacles to get me from here to there? And so the situation was, as a single mother who is co-parenting, probably should be doing some level of parallel parenting, just to be honest. I was, running into an issue with getting the help that I needed to get my son to school for certain things that I need to be at, and I needed help. And so I was like, Arlene, okay, let's take the emotions out of it, because I was very frustrated by it. What are some things that we can put in place to make sure that we're able to do that, right? And I'm just taking myself completely out of it, the emotions behind it, my stress, everything, just mapping it out. And I'm like, okay, there is before school care that starts at 7:00. I can sign him up. I can be able to take him to that. I can get to the events that I need to get to and still keep things going and moving. And then I talked to my son about it. He was like, yes, I love it. All my friends go to that. I want to do that. And I'm like, okay, so he's happy and excited about it. Right. And I'm like, okay, well, let me look at my budget. Let me see what I can remove, what I can cancel to make sure that we can cover that cost. Boom, it's done. He was there at 7:15 this morning, and he was so excited, and I was able to start my day earlier. So I took the emotion out of like stressing about my co-parent not showing up in the way that I needed. And instead of dwelling on that, I was like, what is the solution? How are we moving forward? And even if I don't have help from him on that, I now have a solution on how I can make sure I can do what I need to do. And so
it also speaks to how resilient these babies are, right? Like for us, we're always like, we don't want to mess things up. We don't want them to have like, separation anxiety. And the kids are like, deuces, bye. They are ready to go. And I think that speaks to the type of mother you are too, right? He's so securely attached, I think, to you that he can like go off and do his thing. I mean, so when I was pregnant with Amina, that's when I got like doing a deep dive into attachment right? Attachment parenting, because I knew I did not want her to have an insecure attachment. I wanted her, regardless of my situation with my ex, her father, I wanted her to be good, right? And I'm like, I don't care what I got to do. This girl is going to be securely freaking attached so that she can do whatever. Now that I've done that, I may have course corrected a little too much, like overcorrected, but it is a beautiful thing to have a child who does not feel like they have to know everything. They trust you. And that's what I see with Evan. Like, I know he trusts you, right? And so like, if you say before care is good, he's going to be like, let's go. And that to me speaks to how you parent and how consistent and how securely attached he must be, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I feel like my mother was a great example of parenting that allowed for me to be able to parent in the same way, because she made sure she gave you a taste of what the world was like. Like, you could go to a swim club, you just got to be back by this time, you know? You could go drive, do this with your friends, but you can only have one person in the car. It was like she allowed you to do things, but she put certain barriers in place to keep you safe. And I think by just allowing for me to experience those things allowed for me to be a child that wasn't going to act crazy as soon as I was on my own. Because oftentimes, like when we went off to college, people were like, "Oh my God, this is freedom!" And they back home because they did way too much. And my mom allowed for me to experience just enough to where I knew how to act when I got out, right? And so the thing with my son, I want to make sure that he has experiences and he gets to know what it's like to be around adults and how to handle himself, around other kids and handle himself, right? And he enjoys community. Even during COVID, as soon as I got during daycare open back up, he was back in there. Like, he was not staying with me, right? It was very important at that developmental stage for me that my child experiences being around others. And so I have always handled him in that way, and it shows.
I love that. I love that so much. Okay, so my word for this year, I've been saying it for months, is expansion. Tell me what's your word for 2026, and how has the first quarter been going for your word for the year?
So my word is secure. And what's really interesting is, you know, everyone did their vision board in January. I did mine last night. And I actually, I recorded like a little video and sent it to my girlfriend, Tiffany, for her to look. And she was like, "Girl, I'm doing mine tonight." Like, she's so inspired. And so I wanted to make the vision plain for me to look at on a regular basis, but secure was that word that came up. And I think I mentioned this in one of our meetings this year, that I went to ChatGPT because Chatty knows me. We're like that. And so I said, "What do you think my word is for this year?" And she said, "Secure." This is your year to be secure in your finances, in your career decisions, in your leadership, in your relationships. And there is, you know, when you're in this level of entrepreneurship and business in a very, how do I want to say it? Like, in a time when things just are not for sure, like we don't know what's happening one day from the next. There's so much uncertainty. It is very stressful, right? And so I have a hard time planning for the future with that being in front of me. So the ability to feel secure in business and in finances is really important. And then in relationships, first off, we're in Florida, and Florida just sucks as far as dating, as people probably know. And so I'm like, I want to know that a person is 100% about me, who is a leader with me. People oftentimes think that for me, being that I lead in so many areas, that I want to be the leader in my home. I don't.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Right.
I don't. Okay. And for any man who might be watching, I don't. I'm ready.
Are you ready to be like, "No, I gotta ask my husband"? My husband said,
you know, here he is calling. I was supposed to be home. You know, he just wants to make sure I'm okay. I'm like ready. I was talking, this is so off topic, but I was talking to one of our board members, and we were talking about like pumping gas or washing the car. I think I asked her, oh, how much does it take to fill up her tank? Because I was looking at her particular vehicle that she had. She was like, oh, I have no idea. I haven't pumped gas in, God, what, 20 years? I said,
no, that's right.
She said, oh, my husband, he pumps the gas. He makes sure it's always full. He washes my car. And when I tell you, every time I see her, that car is sparkling. I said, I am not made for the life that I am currently living. That is what I am supposed to be experiencing.
You're like, God, I see what you have done for others. I know that's right. Yeah, that's right.
Done.
You talked about business for a second. I want to talk about your business because I know you got Women on the Rise.
Yeah.
But let's talk about how you support with women and other people, I'm sure, with their entrepreneurship goals. Let's talk about that and how Just Started came to be and what you do.
So yes, thank you. So Just Started came out of, you ever have where people are coming to you with a lot of questions and they want to
pick your brain,
tap into your mind. I think there was so much of that happening and it was taking me away from doing what I need to do that I said, okay, we're going to have to start monetizing this. And that's really where it came out of. Where the name Just Started came from was just me remembering when my mother was here. My mom would oftentimes tell me, because I would like go back and forth over an idea over and over. And she would be like, girl, stop it. You know what you need to do, just start it. And that I would actually go ahead and take action and make that thing happen. And so that's what I oftentimes see in other women. They will think and overthink something, right? Till the end of time before actually taking any real action. And so I wanted to be that person to be able to help guide them through that, right? Like, let's go ahead and just get started. I don't care if it's perfect, if it's rough, whatever, let's just get it going. And so that's where what I did started from. Now, I will tell you, my focus initially was on those who were looking to do some level of events to promote their platform or their business, because people would overthink that so much and not launch their business because they have to do this launch party or launch event. And I'm like, girl, let's just get it done. Let's get it started. And so I started with coaching people or doing their event under this business. And I enjoy that, but I do so many events through our nonprofit. It doesn't excite me as much. I am a person who is all about providing a solution to something that is happening within the community. I am always have been a community focused person since I was in high school. And so I'm seeing things in our community right now that is allowing for me to pivot a little bit in the service offerings of Just Started to really kind of serve what's happening. And so the goal of Just Started really now is to come alongside our nonprofit organization and help serve women in a different level in their careers and their entrepreneurial journey. And so I'm excited to come forth and to share more about that as time evolves. But that's kind of the focus of where Just Started is going.
Well, that's exciting. And I'm excited to hear about that as it shapes up and kind of changes and morphs, which I love, because that's what we have to do as women, right? We see a problem, we see an evolution of a problem.
Yes.
And we pivot. We pivot and we create new solutions. So I'm excited to hear that. And so happy that you think about our community in that way, right? Like not being so stuck in what you necessarily think or want to do, but really taking that data and actually changing how you're building something to birth solutions. That's what we do. That's what we do.
I mean, what I recognize as what I want is often very different from what the community needs. So I have to listen. I have to listen to what everyone else is saying that they need, and then I have to build what that is. Now, I will tell you, the kind of person that I have always been is I get an idea and I just want to shut the door, turn the phone off, and just 100% just fall into whatever that is. And that's like a 24 or 48 hour period where you're like, oh my God, did I take a shower? Like that's the kind of that I'm the level of focus. It's not easy when you're a mom. And so that has been a little bit different for me. So I have to find these long stretches of time whenever I can, or I could just really laser in and focus on something. Because I was the kind of person who, overnight I would think of a business, and by the next morning I'm filing it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Okay, real question. How many domains do you own?
Um, right now I think I own like 4.
Okay, that's not bad. That's not
Yeah,
bad.
and I think I have 2 trademarks. So yeah.
Listen, I think at the height of my multi-passionate self, I probably had over 20 domains. Like easily, and every one of them is fantastic, right? The perfect idea. Like, how could you not? How is this even available? It's so amazing type
I
ideas in my
know.
brain, right? So yeah,
I have
I
one
totally
that I'm getting ready to cancel though, because for me, I'm like, if I haven't taken action on it within a certain period of time, it's time for me to just let it go
let
because
it
it's
go.
costing me money holding on to it.
Yep.
And
Yep.
I am all about cutting costs whenever needed.
Yeah.
So that is something that I have gone through, and I've had a
Yeah.
lot of businesses over the years, and not
Mm-hmm.
everything has stuck. Like I even had a meal prep business at one point.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Mm-hmm.
still have people who will reach out to me asking about the meal prep. Baby, that was long gone. But I will tell you that post having my son, that was the smallest I had ever been when I
Mm-hmm.
was doing that meal, not ever been, but since having my son, um,
Mm-hmm.
having that meal prep business. I think, again, when you're accountable to others and you're
Yep.
having to make all of that, I was able to keep myself in line, right?
Right. You were able to eat healthy.
I was able to be
Yeah.
very healthy.
You said something that stuck out to me. Gosh, what was it? You just said it about, oh, I know what it was. When you said that you canceled those domains because it was costing you money. I love that, but I also think about it energetically. Like even when I think about the domains that I need to let go of and that I'm letting lapse, I've taken them off the auto renew, right? Because energetically, it's a pull. It's one more tab open in my brain that is being just taking up data. It's taking up my memory and slowing down my system overall, right? Give me 3 tabs that you need to close right now.
That's a good question. 3 tabs that I need to close.
Maybe not even you. Women in general. Let's broaden it.
I think people need to get better about purging.
Mm-hmm.
Purging mindsets, thoughts, things, right? I am a reflective person. So I like to reflect over the day, the week, the month. I'm one of those people who goes back in my chat GPTs and I scroll back like a couple months ago. What was I working on?
Yeah.
I need to continue on. What do I just need to delete so I don't come back to this? Right. I am one of those people who goes back through things because there might have been really great ideas that I am letting sit. There might be really great outfits that I could be buying, but my closet has too much going on in there and I can't bring anything else new in, right?
Right.
I will do a clearing out and purging of ideas, thoughts, and so forth every so often to be able to stay flowing and to keep things fresh.
Yeah, I love that. All right, let's do some hot take rounds, like a little rapid fire, okay?
Do it.
Let's see. Tell me one piece of advice that women often hear, right? It's like a common trope or whatever that you think is completely wrong. Is absolutely antithesis to what you think about women.
I don't know if it's said as much as it once was, but there was definitely like a fake it till you make it kind of concept that was going on for a long time. And I think to some extent it happens. I completely do not subscribe to that any longer. I 100% believe in being transparent about what you don't know and allow people to know that you're open to learning. Because if you are always carrying yourself in a way of, I know everything, people are going to treat you in that way and they're not going to pour into you. And I want to learn, right? Like there's so many areas of business that I still have left to learn, right? Like I want to be able to have something that's scalable, sustainable. You know, having one employee is nothing, right? I want to be able to say that I have 20 staff members, right? And we're operating at scale.
Yeah.
We have too many businesses that are operating at less than $24,000 annually, and that is not a business, right? But they will say
Right.
they're an entrepreneur. That's not true. And so I
Mm-hmm.
want someone to be able to pour into me and to teach me what that
Yeah.
looks like. You know, on my vision board, it says that I want to be at $1 million for our nonprofit, right? To be fully funded, to have a
Right.
giving donor circle, right? I need someone
Mm-hmm.
to teach me, how do I get there? I don't,
Right.
right?
Right.
Have I been
Right.
able to make well into the six figures and doing what I do annually? Absolutely. I've been able to
Mm-hmm.
get checks written for 70,000, 80,000, 20,000 to do
Mm-hmm.
projects, but I'm not fully funded to do what needs to be
Right.
done.
Right.
So I'm ready to learn. So that's one of the things I said, like, get rid of that fake it until you make it. Go
Mm-hmm.
into spaces willing to learn and let people know that you want them to pour into you.
I think that's so true. And I think there's this fear of not being enough or not being taken seriously as a woman, right? Maybe she's just pretty. Maybe she's just, an arm piece, right? A trophy. But when you have all these ideas and you want to be taken seriously, you can feel like a sense of hesitation on messing up or asking for help or not being the expert in the room because you don't want to be mistreated or doubted.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. Okay. Question 2. What is something that women should stop apologizing for immediately?
Being a mother,
Mm.
I think oftentimes we are very apologetic on our children or not being able to
Mm.
show up in the way that we once did. And we just have
Right.
to own the fact that we are a mom and this is what comes along with it. And I love when I see women show up with their children at events. Like, if you want
Me
me
too.
there, coming too, right? And
Right.
so I want to see more women stop being apologetic about that and what that looks like. And I want to see more people extending grace to women who do have children
Yeah.
and recognizing that that is a part of life and they should be accepting of allowing them into that space.
Yeah. Especially when we know that women bear the brunt of emotional and domestic labor, right? Whether you are partnered or not, married or not, single or not, whatever your situation, we all know women typically are responsible for the caretaking of whomever is in that household, right? That's one thing I love, love, love. I mean, there's so many things I love about Women on the Rise, but I love that kids are welcome. I couldn't come to the meeting last month, right? But my child was like, "Can nobody else pick me up? Nobody else? I can't go with somebody else." I'm like, "You're my child." No, she's like, "Well, somebody else on their way to the meeting, they can pick me up." I'm like, "Girl, no."
You know
But I
what's interesting about that is because she has developed community in there too. So
exactly.
one of the older teens in there, she just spoke about your baby, and she was like,
Oh,
"I want to pour into her more." And there was another one of our ladies' daughters as well. She was like, because they're
oh,
asking me questions about being a teenager and this,
yes.
that, and the other. And so now
Yeah.
she has someone who she can look into, and they look forward to that, right?
Yes,
Not even just
exactly.
about us, they have their community as well.
And it's just so important, especially for girls and women, to know that you are not having to reinvent the wheel, right? You are not by yourself. And you spoke about it earlier about shame. There's no shame. I
Right.
believe as a woman, as a girl, when you can move and operate shame free, no one can silence you. No one can make you shrink as long as you know that your decisions were what they may not be perfect, right? I don't attest to be a perfection queen. I do profess to be safe. And
Yeah.
that to me is all that I care about. If I can be safe for other girls and women, I'm good with that. I'm good with that. I'm not gonna be perfect, but you can find safety here. You can find rest. You can find respite, right, in this space. And that's what's important, I think.
Yeah, for
If
sure.
women, oh, go ahead.
No, I mean, I love that. And I want people to recognize that there will be people in your life that will try to shame you. And you have to, be like Jay-Z and just dust your shoulders off, right? Like, you can't allow
Yes.
that to penetrate you. You have to know who you are at all times and stand
Yeah.
in that 10 toes down.
Yeah. Real quick aside to that, I remember when I first had my baby, I was divorced at the time, so single mom.
Yeah.
And I had mentioned to someone something about, having a family.
Yeah.
And this person said to me, that's not a family. Like you and your baby, that's not a family. This is what someone said to me. And for a second, it stung, right? It stung like, oh my, I doubted myself for like a nanosecond, but it was long enough to feel that sense of shame.
Yeah.
And I knew that if I allowed anything like that to penetrate my psyche, I was done, right?
Yeah.
I was done. But how many women, I was 35.
Yeah.
How many women at 15 or 20 or 25 or 30 or however old could not have brushed that off, right? Or taken it with a grain of salt and known. And that person later came back and apologized, felt terrible for saying it, right? When I brought it back up to them. But in that moment, it didn't mean anything coming off of that person's tongue, but it could have crashed my world, right? And that's what I mean by being safe, right? Like we're not going to always get it right, but some things like, you don't know the weight that is sitting with that person on that matter.
Yeah.
So yeah, shame is a big one. I love that you said that. All right.
Definitely.
If women protected one thing about themselves more fiercely, what do you think it should be?
Their spirit. Their spirit. I will tell you, there are things that are just not worth stressing over.
Mm.
And I think the only reason why I am still here to this day is because I'm not letting everything just take me out, right?
Right.
I deal with a very interesting relationship with, my little person's other parent. And I will tell you, a lot of those things would probably take someone out. And I have decided that I'm not going to allow that to keep me from doing what I need to do. I actually was looking for a before picture of what I looked like before I had my baby, right? Like what my workout routine was producing, which was pretty impressive. And so I was looking for the photo, and I came across several screenshots of text messages from back then.
Yeah.
And there were so many of this person apologizing for letting me down, not showing up before my event to get our son, or not showing up before something to do whatever, right? There were so many of these screenshots of all of these times of him apologizing for dropping the ball, letting me down, not showing up, not doing what he said he was going to do. That could have cost me an opportunity. Yes. And I always had to find a workaround because of him, right? And so the one thing that I never let him do was to take my spirit. Yeah. Because I needed my energy to be able to show up for myself and for others. I was building something bigger than me. And if I would have allowed him to take control of my spirit in that way and to dilute it with negativity, I would never be able to do what I do now. And so I think more women have to get into a place where they let ish go.
Yes.
You got to let it go.
And you can say it, girl. You can say it. This is you know who you're talking to. You know who you're talking to. Listen, at some point, I already said, my mother be like, do you have to cut? Yes, this is who I am. And what's funny is, guess where I got it from? Guess where I got it from? My mother. Anyway,
that's funny.
This is unfiltered. We don't bleep stuff out here. It is what it is. Okay. All right. What is a soft life habit that you believe is actually a power move? And are you a soft life pusher? Do you believe in a soft life?
I aspire to having a soft life. Yeah. What would I say about a soft life?
Like a habit.
I think it's something that I aspire to, but I have yet to experience. I think that's why secure is my word for the year, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think once a person can feel secure emotionally, financially, physically, then you're experiencing what I would consider as a soft and safe life, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm still after that.
Yeah. Well, I pray that you get that, because you deserve it. Nobody deserves it more. So I'm speaking it forth right now into the universe. All right. Wrap this up. We're going to finish this sentence. a woman becomes unstoppable when she
stops waiting for permission from others.
Ooh, period. Absolutely. Absolutely. I could not agree more. I could not agree more. And
we have to use our voice. We have to use
yeah.
our voice. I oftentimes say that sometimes people don't step in and just take control because they might have dealt with like work-related trauma that when they did, they were stopped, or who do you think you are? I'm not about that, right?
That whole going from pet to threat is a very real thing. And if you've experienced that at any point in your career, which I have, it can feel frightening. It can feel very tenuous to really stretch your wings in spaces, personal and professional. So I totally get that.
Absolutely. But I would say I would not have been able to achieve any of the things that I've achieved if I had subscribed to that. And there will always be someone who might try to block you from receiving your next blessing. And you just have to love them, love on them like nothing else, and work your way around them.
Ooh, okay. Kill them with kindness. I love it.
But still be building on the side, right? Because you don't want to be dependent on their co-signing for your success.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So if I want to join Women on the Rise, or I want to work with you with Just Started, how do I find you? What's the best way to get in touch with Arlene Blake?
Yes. So for Women on the Rise, you can go to our website at WOTRINC.org. So that's an abbreviation for Women on the Rise, and then INC.org. And then for Just Started, it's Just Started LLC.com. And so both of those, you can find me, reach out, follow us on Instagram, especially for Women on the Rise. We are active and engaged over there. And we have big things coming up too. That's what I've been working on the last couple of days. So I'm excited to introduce some of those new and exciting things that are coming out. But we're pivoting. We're pivoting in a very good way. We're creating
this has been 10 years of amazing stuff. 10 years. And just in the time that I've been a part of the organization, listen, if you are in Central Florida and you identify as a woman and you need community, I don't know what you're doing if you're not part of. I meet women and I'm like, what do you mean you're not in the group? You never heard of it. What are you talking about? Or you've heard of it, even worse. You've heard of it and you're not in it. Like, what is really going on? It's so many resources that you provide. And honestly, like, if I could, I'd give you 10 times over my membership because it has been such a value to me.
Yeah. And I think the more people talk about the organization, the more we're able to create traction and to get more people involved. So like one of the things Nikki and I that we work on together with Women on the Rise, the career development cohort, right? And being able to provide a very holistic experience to help women get into that next phase of their career and their personal life. And the more people talk about that program and what we do, the more companies and those who are willing to write that check know about what we're doing. Because oftentimes they're just looking for people to partner with that are creating impact, but they got to know about you. So that's why having community is so important, and for people to share about what's happening here.
Yes. Well, thank you. Thank you, Arlene. I've always been a fan, continue to be a fan. And I just pray that all the blessings that you deserve and more come your way. So thank you so much for your time with us. And thank y'all for listening. Go check out Arlene. Get all up in her stuff when it comes to her business, all up in her stuff when it comes to her love life. If you know of a good man, reach out to me so we can get them together and encourage like all of this love. She has so much that I just want to give her the softest life ever so she can just bloom and grow and build and birth even more. Absolutely. So thank you, Arlene. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Nikki. Love you to pieces.
All right. Take care.